Welcome to this episode of the Comedy Defect podcast. My name is Winter, I'm a comedian, and this is my show. Those of you that are new to the show, welcome. Those of you that are old to the show, welcome back, guys. I'm recording these links in January, the end of January, just before the January podcast gets released, because I want to get all of these things done before, February kicks off, because I'm training for the show recording of Squeaky, which is happening on the 28th of February in the Museum of Comedy at 7 p.m. Tickets are still available. You can go to the Squeaky page, which is on Facebook, and the booking link is on that advert there, Squeaky. It's a clean show of about an hour. Might do some new bits at the end as well, just have a bit of fun. I managed to get an impromptu preview of the show last night because the headliner did not turn up. So they said, can you do a bit more time? I was like, oh, perfect. So I did my show, and it was great. It went great. People came up to me and really enjoyed the show. It's nice to see where the bits need shaping up a little bit more, a bit more energy going in here or there. But the bones of the show is there. I can't wait to do this show in February, because that's what the last 8 years have been working up to. Got to keep chipping away at that mountain. So you can find that link for the tickets on Facebook under the Facebook page. Squeaky is an advert there. Or just go to my page and you'll be able to find the advert for the show Squeaky. Again, 28th of February, 7 p.m. in the Museum of Comedy. All of the details for that, the address and all that are on that page as well. Now, this is a wonderful episode with a good friend of mine, Steve Gribbin. I've gigged with Steve many times before, up, down, left, right of the country. We've gigged all over the place. Steve is an absolutely lovely fella. He was voted Comedian's Comedian by his peers in the last couple of years, and he's an absolutely lovely fella. He's been on the circuit for over 30 years. We had a lovely chat for about an hour, which you'll hear in a couple of minutes. So yeah, you can follow this podcast. We're on Facebook. Just go to Facebook, type in The Comedy Defect. You can like the page, or you can follow us on the Comedy Defect Facebook group. If you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram at Winter Dominus. If you want to come see my live stand-up apart from my show on the 28th of February, you can find those dates on my website, which is winterdominus.co.uk. So what else has been going on? Well, I've been gigging. I've been having fun. I've been gigging some more. I've been writing some great jokes. I actually have interviewed a person that I've been trying to get on this podcast for an awfully long time. He is an absolute juggernaut in comedy. He is excellent. When you're on a bill with him, you learn so much. And I managed to get him in a room and record a podcast for over an hour. And the tips he gave me after that podcast have stood me in good stead for all of my writing. It just sometimes things just click into place. And there was a couple of things that just weren't clicking for me. And he just went, look, this and that. And that was it. It was done. It was in. It's like seeing through the matrix is what it's like. I downloaded all of my Twitter feed and tried to pick through all the jokes and rewrite some of the things that I'd put up on Twitter in the last maybe 7 years. And so that's when I deleted the account. I was like, look, I'm just going to go through all the stuff I've written on Twitter, and then I'm going to rewrite it and put it into something if I can. And I've gotten through all that, done all that, did 7 of those a day, got through everything in the last 8 years. So hope that you'll be seeing them in a new form, coming to a stage near you. But this guy who I had on the show, he was excellent. And so I've been applying all those tips and techniques that he gave me to all of my stand-up and all of my writing. And it's night and day. I'm really looking forward to trying some more of this stuff out. If you listen to that, it's going to be available in the next few months. So if you hang on, I'll tell you when it's coming. He's such an amazing comedian. I just really think he's one of the best comedians I've seen in the last few years. And I'm just so privileged to have him on the show for us to pick his brain. So this is a great episode, episode 70, with a very funny Steve Gribbin. Enjoy. Steve, welcome to the Comedy Defect. Thank you for having me in your house.
That's right.
And nice to meet your dog, Pablo.
Pablo, not Paolo.
Yeah, so how are you, man? You all right?
I'm great, yeah, not too bad.
What have you been doing recently?
I've been writing a play with my friend and fellow comedian Paul Ricketts, which we are taking up to Edinburgh, not this year, but next year, called The Name of the Game, which is about the history of Monopoly. It concerns the true story of Elizabeth McGee, whose original idea for the game, the landlord's game that she invented, was stolen from her and made into Monopoly. So
right, okay.
Yeah, I've been really busy with that. A couple of days ago I performed at Jeremy Hardy's memorial as well, which was very sad. But Katie, his widow, asked me to perform a special song there, so I did. Turned into a massive piss up, which is good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's it.
That's what he would have wanted.
Yeah, you take it up next year, and about Monopoly, and there's no tips or sort of like basically all you need is Mayfair, isn't it, at Park Lane, and you're going to kill it. You're going to win that game.
And when he tips out to play Monopoly, yeah. Well, the thing is, it's not actually anti-Monopoly as such, but it's quite sarcastic about Monopoly.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to get subsidised by Hasbro.
Right, damn it. No mind. That game it caused so many arguments, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a joke in it. It's quite surreal. They said they're all characters are dead at one point, and she says, well, at least we've got time to finish a game of Monopoly. We've got eternity. It's ironic, of course, given what's going on in Edinburgh this year, isn't it, with the property prices?
Yeah, but is that going to make a difference, really?
You know, the difference we've seen, £1.5 grand and £7 is...
No, that's very true. But the people who own those properties, isn't it their right to charge what they want? I'm not saying it's not right.
Yeah, I just think it's obscene though. Some people are making money out of Edinburgh, but it's not the acts.
Never. It's never the acts.
No,
is it?
not.
Like, you know, and everyone else pays the form out, I guess.
People can go up and they end up being broke for the next 12 months trying to pay off the last show that they've done. It's
if not more, like if they've got a paid room, isn't it?
Yeah,
but yeah. So back to Monopoly, right? Years ago, I remember the last Monopoly game I had with my old man was I remember him losing horribly, and my mother had like hotels everywhere, and then in the end he grabbed the Monopoly board with all the money and threw it up in the air at Christmas, of course, and he said, "You're like fucking Rackman," he said, like, you know, the landlord from years ago. Yeah, that's it. And I was like, oh man, so we didn't play it again for a long time, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it causes lots of arguments, Monopoly, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that's very funny because that does happen in the play.
Yeah, oh shit, sorry, I can cut this out if you want.
No, it's great. And also, many years ago, my wife's brother stayed here, and he's always cheated at games, and we were all pissed at Christmas, and we were all drinking red wine. My kids, who were very young at the time, said, "Oh, Uncle Gary," you know, and then he was in charge. His name's Gary. He was in charge. He was the banker, and they said, "You know, Dad, Uncle Gary's cheating." I said, "Well, why is that?" Because all the banknotes were stained with red wine. Oh. So it was like he was completely caught red-handed money laundering, you know.
Totally. That's great. That's great. Thought before in the carrots, you were part of a double act.
I started off. I really date my comedy career from sort of '84 when I went fully professional, but I was doing it for 2 years before that, and I was in a musical double act called Skint Video. Yeah, we did quite a bit of telly. We were on the radio and stuff. I did that with one partner called John Ivans, who then left, and then he rose to be head of the Maudsley Mental Institution. Yeah, he was head of clinical psychology there. He's not there anymore. I don't know where he is actually, but obviously he's still alive. But and then that was taken over by another guy called Brian, and then we carried on until '94. So I was in that for like 12 years. So I've been solo since '94. Which is funny enough. I'm doing a gig on the 17th of June, which I've organised myself to celebrate 25 years as a solo comic, and all the money's going towards Alzheimer's. I've got, Omid Jalili, Ben Norris, Ian Stone, Eleanor Tiernan. Oh God, there's 12 people doing it, and yeah, it should be.
When is that then? Sorry,
it's Monday the 17th of June.
Where?
At the Comedy Store.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
As part of their 40th anniversary celebrations. I'm also doing the big one next Monday. I've been asked to do which is a great honour, because that's amongst people like John Bishop, Michael McIntyre, Omid again. Wow, it's just like a cast of thousands. Alexi Sales on.
Oh, brilliant! And you were nominated this year for is the comedian, is it?
Yeah, no, that was last year. Yeah, that was nice because that's voted for by a jury of your peers, isn't it? So
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. It was a very nice thing to happen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Next thing, I want £1 million.
Yeah, that's it.
Come on!
When you became a double actor, did you think, okay, right, I just want to do comedy, or were you like acting before that as well? Or?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I came down from Liverpool to go to college, and then I went back, couldn't get a job, came back. Then I kind of was doing acting a little bit on the side, and the thing is, what happened was, I wanted an equity card, because in those days you had to have an equity card to work. Right. So you had to have 10 signed and witnessed contracts from reputable venues. So we formed the double act, both of us, at the beginning to do that. And then I just thought, fuck this, I actually like this better. I mean, because one thing that I have done some acting since, but my theatre company was run by a very sort of fierce woman who was, her bottom line was money. That's all she was concerned about. And I didn't like being told what to do. That's the thing about comedy. No one's telling you what to do. You can have an idea at 4 o'clock and then just turn up at 9 o'clock and do it. No one's going to stop you. And if it's shit, it's your fault. And if it's great, it's your fault. And that was the beauty of it. So that kind of, the bug really bit me. And I just binned off the acting. And I kind of was in a theatre company called Age Exchange Theatre Company. And we would interview, I found it fascinating, the work. We interviewed old people and then we'd collate their experiences into a play. Great. You know, it's like called verbatim theatre, actually. And, you know, once you'd edited all the racism out.
Yes, there's a lot of that, I'm sure.
There was.
That's brilliant, though. That's really fun because you're bringing their lives to life, you know, back. It's and they went to watch it as well, did they? Or
yeah, we used to perform in old people's homes, and but the thing was, I loved the work, but I just couldn't stand all the other stuff around it. Yeah. With acting as well, I mean, this still goes on today. They expect you to, you know, if you haven't got a scene right and everyone wants to go home, they say, well, let's just stay for an extra 3 hours. You know, nobody gets paid. So, and I was the equity rep at the time, and I used to have these massive rows with the woman saying, look, you can't do this. This is actually out of order. You need to pay us for this. And then she'd go, oh, but surely, and appeal over my head to the other actors. And they'd all cave in, you know.
Desperate for work, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and also, but they wanted to get the piece right as well. Yeah. She was playing on their good nature and their desire to do good work. Nice. But she was taking the piss, really. Yeah.
When you did your first gig with the double act, where was that? Was that Liverpool somewhere?
No, I'll tell you where it was, and it doesn't exist anymore. It was at the Woolwich Tram Shed, which is now Sainsbury's in Woolwich. And it was a thing called Utopian Cosmic Space Lines Cabaret. Wow. And the person comparing it was a woman called Vivian Sohn, who's very, very weird, very funny but weird, who later married Martin Sohn, who used to be in The Greatest Show on Legs. Did you remember that with the balloon dance guys?
Maybe, yeah.
And Malcolm Hardy used to run the Tunnel Club and Up the Creek. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you when it was, May the 27th, 1982. She was dressed in full Archbishop regalia, right, playing a saxophone and on roller skates.
Wow, God, that's multi-talented, hey?
But she couldn't roller skate. And the stage was slightly tilted like those old-fashioned stages. Yeah. So she kept going, to the front. So she kept going, trying to get to the microphone, going, and eventually she just grabbed hold of the microphone. She was on, we were on, there was a poet. And this is how long ago it was. It was right in the middle of the Falklands War. We did all right, actually. I can't really remember much about it except I loved it. But there's a guy on with us, a Scottish guy called Oscar McLennan, who did his whole act totally naked and never referred to it once. That's great. Just stripped off when he first came on. Said hello, stripped off, then just sat, talked, but didn't make reference to it.
That's brilliant. just carried on. Like, did he get laughs? He must have got laughs.
He was very, very good. Right. Very charismatic performer. His huge staring eyes, People try to focus on the eyes. Don't look anywhere else. I mean, he was one of the. I mean, that's the thing about the comedy circuits. First of all, it was called alternative cabaret. It wasn't even called comedy. And there were just loads of wild people, just weird. The Iceman, whose act was just to sit there while a block of ice melted. That was his act.
How long did that take?
It wasn't a very big block of ice, so 20 minutes.
That's all right.
But that was his act.
Wow. That's easy, isn't it, huh? Did he put any facial expressions or anything?
Just sat there.
Just looking at his watch going, yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. What an he got paid for that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
There was loads of different people. Like there's a guy called the Teddy Bear Torturer. He used to have a selection of teddy bears and he used to just put them through hell. Like he used to tie one to a wheel and do the wheel that and just throw knives in it. Yeah. He was great, actually. Yeah. There was a guy called Steve Edgar who used to come on with helmet and ask people with a huge bamboo stick to hit him on the head. Just crazy people. Everybody sort of thinks that the early circuit was extremely sort of lefty and right on and hated Thatcher, which was an element of it, but also there was loads of different... There weren't even comedians on all the time. A lot of the times there were comedians, poets, singers, jugglers, weirdo escape artists, you know, just crazy people.
It was nice, as a variety night, really, wasn't it? You know, like
it was, and there was a thing called Cast, who were funded by the GLC. That's how long ago that is. They were called Cast New Variety, and they had 4 or 5 venues all over London, and every gig that they had a comedian, but they were always balanced out by somebody else. So they always had a proper band at the end, not a comedy band, a proper band, but they'd always have jugglers on and stuff like that. Even jonglers in the early days had jugglers on.
Yeah, something completely different. Like, you know,
yeah,
you get to see, you know, you see a night sometimes you see the same subjects kind of going through. Like, well, okay, there's you know, not the same material, but you know, there's only so many subjects in the world, I guess. But you know, you go, oh, okay, that's where that person, you know, that person from. That's the, and then it can become a bit bingo, can't it? Really.
Yeah, and you know, there's. I mean, it's changing now, which I have to think is really good because there's loads more women on the bill and there's a lot more diversity than there was. Although, having said that, what happened was the circuit sort of around about the mid-80s when money came in. I mean, it's very much like punk and new wave and that sort of thing. Once the money moved in and people began to say, "Oh, hang on, you know, I've paid 10 quid here." And I didn't like one act. I mean, that, but you'd always get told at the beginning, like, you might not like everyone, but you got 6 acts. Come on, tuck in.
Yeah.
But then promoters started to get a bit more sort of, oh, you know, can't take a chance. People, you know, people be upset. You know, that's why somebody like who was one of my comedy heroes, Martin Sohn, was brilliant, and he used to come on and he built it himself, a skirting board of an Indian restaurant, and he called it the smallest Indian restaurant in the world.
All right.
He used to have Indian music and he'd just do a little play about what was happening. He wouldn't do the accents, he would just do... I mean, it was just surreal, genius. Yeah. And then he used to do Shakespeare, but with the ruff from those dryers. You know, the dryers, they have the white things that go out. And he used to tie it around his neck like an Elizabethan ruff. He used to do loads of gigs. I mean, he was part of the Greatest Show on Legs, who were brilliant in their day. But then he gradually stopped getting booking because people just... stare at him.
Yeah.
You know, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know, we want a white male 30-something stand up.
Yeah, I don't even want that anymore, is it?
No. The thing is, though, the thing is, that's when it became a little bit samey.
Yeah, of course.
I rejoice in the fact that bills are more mixed and there's much more variety of stuff going on, which I think is good.
Pushing the envelope a little bit, see where it can go.
Yeah.
Have you always been a musical act, or?
Well, the funny thing is, this is actually the original version of Skint video when we had music in it, but we were primarily sketch. This is way, way, way before sketches were very fashionable, because they became very fashionable in the 90s, but we were ahead of the curve. So our sketches used to just go...
It weren't ready, man.
You know,
it weren't ready.
Well, I mean, I remember one of our earliest sketches was about a soldier in the Falklands who was in love with a penguin. And the only reason we did that sketch is because Brian, my other partner, there was a joke shop and he found the penguin, one of those that you push along, so it goes... He thought, what can we put this in? We need a sketch to put this in. We used to go there. There's a place still there by Euston called Lawrence Corner, and it does costumes for theatre, but it has loads of old soldiers' uniforms and I can't even remember what the sketch was. But we were in there once, and we saw 2 hats from the Foreign Legion and said, "Oh, these are great. We've got to get this." And then we can, what can we do that's got the French Foreign Legion in? So we thought of something. I don't know what it was. So we were sketch based really, with music in the middle. And we were a lot more of a double act. We used to have a lot of toing and froing. But music's mainly been there, because I actually started, when I was in Liverpool, I used to be in a band. And
what was the name of the band? I'm always interested in what the name
Oh, well, we were called Bandstand, which is a terrible name. I hate that name. Not my idea for the name. And then we morphed into a sort of new wavy sort of outfit called The Heat.
Right, cool, nice.
The Heat.
Heat is coming, that's it.
And we used to do we used to do loads of cover versions. We used to use like quite a lot of punk and new wave. Some of my songs as well, and the other guy that was in them. And then, it's that classic thing, is how Connolly, a lot of the folk
Yeah.
people started, when the equipment would break down, I used to do a little bit of stuff in between and it'd get laughs. I thought,
Yeah.
but then that didn't happen instantaneously. Only a few years later did it percolate, you know. But I've always kept the music in because I like it, you know.
Do you have any recordings from those days?
I haven't got any live ones, but I've got some studio stuff that the band did, yeah. Yeah, it's all pretty badly recorded though. For my birthday a few years ago, the guy that was in the band made me a CD of it, and I do listen to it, but it's really funny because I was on Radio Merseyside a few years ago, and the guy said to me, "Have you got anything from your earliest days?" And I said, "Yeah." And he actually listened to it, and he said, "Look, the quality's you just can't put it on.
Damn it.
It's so bad. It's so bad because it's you know, as it would be, because we had no money, so you know. I'm recording that because I have got a band now as well, but I'm recording an album now, but we're doing it the old-fashioned way. We've done one EP, and we did that sort of like together, so we just want to do it the old-fashioned way, but we've forgotten how long that takes.
Yeah.
Because even with the advent of modern technology, one mistake, go back and start again. So we're doing the drums. The drums have taken 5 sessions to get the drums right. It's like, you know, and people forget that if you sat in the room, you got to be quiet as well. So people forget to switch their phones off. They go, or they ruffle their papers, or you know.
What's the name of your band now? Is it like not band?
We're called the True Believers, and we do Americana, stroke folk, stroke country, and it's all my songs. There's no funny songs in there. They're all my songs, which I've been writing sort of on and off since about 2014, so about 5 years, and it's just great. I'm really enjoying it. We've made one EP. We're going to make an album.
Great.
You know, we've done quite a lot of gigs.
Yeah. Is that's weekends as well, though? I guess, is it?
No, I mean the comedy always takes precedence.
Weekends, yeah.
We do the odd Friday or Saturday when I haven't got any work.
Great.
But we mainly play like Thursdays or Sundays when
nice.
So I've already told about it.
It's a nice downtime. It's nice kind of like ease off the weekend as well. It's like, you know,
it's hard to work though, because you have to be on stage for like two and a half hours.
I guess so.
And you never stop singing. You can't have a rest.
That's true.
I'd forgotten that. I mean, I'd also forgotten the dynamics of a band as well. You know, like there's 6 of us, and some people don't get on with other people. And
no.
But they have that in every band.
Yeah, true.
I was thinking about that today, walking down the road. You know, that the only reason that people get together in bands is because they blend together musically. There's no law to say that you should get on personally. So that's why most bands don't last very long, do they? Right. Eventually someone just goes, fuck off. Yeah. And you've cut your toenails in the band, you bastard.
Oh no, it's or on the bus or
on the bus. You know, that's the thing that normally destroys bands.
Yeah.
Isn't it, you know?
The old familiarity, isn't it? They say breeds contempt.
Breeds
contempt.
Does. It does.
Oh no, I'm just gonna put my feet on the dash. Do you mind? I kind of do mind. No. You're quite political in your stand-up as well.
Yeah, I've always been pretty political. When we started off, you know, we did loads and loads of stuff to support the miners' strike and stuff like that, and I've carried on. I still do loads of benefits if I can. Yeah. My whole thing is, I mean, I went to Jeremy's thing, and the Red House thing. He said if you, and I agree with him. He says it's no good getting an applause break for something you say. You've got to have a laugh. If you describe yourself as a comedian, my whole thing is the joke has to come first. And Jeremy said, if you haven't got a joke, shut the fuck up. It's no good going, isn't it great? You know, is it terrible? Blah blah blah. Tory government. Blah blah. Yeah. Well, that's crap. You know, because I've always tried to make it funny first and political second. You know, and sometimes I struggle with it. You know, I'm very angry about something. It's very hard to write clearly on it because you have to have a bit of distance between. I have to calm down a bit before I can write.
But I do love, I mean, I'm not gonna do your closing bit about trains, which I love. That is great. You know, and it's great. It's just the energy behind it is just right, and it's just like it's something everyone can connect with, isn't it? Like, But
it's I mean, all you can do in anyone's comedy is do something that means a lot to you. You know, and do it in such a way that you're trying to make everybody included, you know. So everybody's had that experience, I assume, unless you are driven around by a chauffeur-driven car, nice. You wouldn't, I always try and sugar the pill. So, you know, I've got jokes in the act about the royal family, stuff like that. I stand by those jokes because I think they're funny, but that's what I actually believe as well.
And they're all current as well, so it keeps it, it's nice.
Yeah, I'm this afternoon when you've gone, I'll be sat there trying to getting me Danny Baker stuff together. Alabama, because they brought in the abortion thing and stuff like that. Yeah, and I'm already thinking of. Although it's going to be funny because on Monday night, this big gala thing at the Comedy Store, I'm on last. So I'll be like this going, oh, you bastards.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, come on. No, I had a good bit in that.
Stole my thunder, you fuckers.
Well, at the Jeremy Hardy Memorial, Jack D did a really good joke about Danny Baker. I was thinking, oh, you sod, I had something on that.
Damn it. So
and it was about monkeys as well. I thought, damn it.
No, never mind.
These things happen.
Happens, yeah, for sure.
You know, it's funny about that. I'll tell you a funny story. Years ago, you know the Salman Rushdie thing? Mm-hmm. You probably don't know a stand-up guy called Owen O'Neill, although he's from Northern Ireland. Very, very good stand-up, and also he's behind a lot of those plays that he wrote. They adapted The Shawshank Redemption and 12 Angry Men. But he said a really funny thing, because comics are always like, I mean, you know, if you're dealing with topical stuff, it was in the dressing room of the Comedy Store, and somebody said, are you doing anything about Salman Rushdie? He said, what the fuck can I do? I'm just one man. You know, I can't do anything about it, you know. But he knew exactly what he was doing.
It's great.
That's always the thing. If you're up last, you've got to watch as a lot of your stuff crashes and burns. And
it's like arriving late at the gig and some of the MC's already done something with the crowd. You go, oh, you've been talked to already? Oh, fuck it. And then someone goes into the crowd and does the same.
That's why I always make a point of getting there early. I don't... I think that's really one of the most awkward moments ever, if an act comes on and goes blah 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 blah, and they go, the collective groan that goes through the audience. Oh, no. Some people don't, do they? They like to leave it until they're just on, or they're doubling, I suppose. But
the closing bit is about trains. You've also done a show about trains, haven't you, as well?
Yeah. 37 years. How many Edinburgh shows have I done?
Yeah.
Well, I did every year in the 80s except one, so that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've done about 15, 16 shows. I've also done a new show. Every year I've written a new show for the Liverpool Comedy Festival for the last, I would say, 12 years. That's that, and I've never done that in Edinburgh either. I've never used any of the bits. Sometimes specific to Liverpool. I mean, I did a radio show on Radio Merseyside called From Adolf to the Zootons, the A to Z of Liverpool history, and I did it parts 1, 2 and 3 during the City of Culture year 2008. But I also did, it was broadcast on the radio. At the moment I'm working on a new one about statues. Yeah. So I don't think anyone's done that yet. It's called Kick Over the Statues, and it's about the arguments that are raging about the status of statues in our society. I mean, in America, should you pull down the statues of Confederate generals? Right. The Thatcher statue, isn't there? There's
pulled down the Saddam Hussein one in
they did prematurely. It turns out, didn't they? So it signalled victory. Then the war went on for another 2 years. It's very interesting. I'm going around all the cities of the UK, like just photographing some of the prominent statues, and I'm going to see if I can do a show that every time I'm in that place, I can do a show about the specific statues that are there. Because Manchester's got some brilliant ones. Yeah. And Liverpool as well. I mean, Liverpool's got the famous statues on the beach. Mm-hmm. The Anthony Gormley. Right. Have you never seen them?
No, I haven't.
It's called Another Place.
In the sand.
Yeah, they're called the Iron Men, but there's 100 of them. In fact, there's 99. But they're all looking out to sea in one direction.
Was there 100, or there were just 99?
I think he deliberately put 99.
Oh, right, just
One's not dead. They're all modelled on him, aren't they? Anthony Gormley, the sculptor. Yeah.
Great idea.
So that's my latest project. I want to do a show about statues. Wow.
Your show is it like pros and cons of each of each statue? Is it? Should we leave him here, or should we tear it down?
I don't know yet. I haven't decided. That might be a good idea. I was going to do a bit where I had a little game with the audience, because you remember that game that kids play called Statues, where you turn to the wall and then you turn around and everyone's got to stop.
Stay still, right? Yeah. End up with one audience.
yeah. I mean, I don't know those kind of. I'm just kind of thinking of playing around with it, because there's so many other things in sort of our culture, like Medusa. Her power was to turn people to stone, to statue, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course.
And there's a famous scene in Winter's Tale where the statue of the king comes to life. And there's loads of. It's quite spooky, isn't it? We invest statues with kind of we love to think that they come alive, don't they?
Yeah.
It's that night at the museum and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, that's right.
Still sort of like percolating in my brain.
Because it's also like we go to museums and see all these statues and go, oh look, and then you're there, you're kind of trying to imagine this statue at the time in its state when it had arms or like it had a head or whatever it is. You go, I wonder what that was like back then. And it just takes you there, and then you making people again aware of the history. Because I think the thing is, everyone's living so presently or in the future. It's nice to kind of bring the past back into the now and like have people to kind of dissect it and have poke fun and remember.
Yeah.
Because it's otherwise it gets lost, isn't it?
I'll tell you something. Most statues, if you see them, I mean, a hell of a lot are militaristic. And they've always got people in heroic poses, haven't they? You never see a statue of someone having a shit, do you?
That's true.
You don't. Or doing the gardening, or picking their nose. They're all like this, aren't they? With their swords thrust forward, like, hello.
Right. There's the hooves, isn't it? If you've got like one or two hooves on the ground.
Yes, I can't remember what that signifies.
There's
one's a defeat and one's a victory.
That's right. And one died in battle and one died in his bed or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, the horse has got no legs. I don't know how it works.
If the horse has got no legs, that means the horse got it as well.
Yeah, that's it. He's a crab horse.
If 3 feet are on the ground, that means like the NHS ambulance didn't come in time.
Wasn't running fast enough.
Yeah.
But what was your first British show you did?
We went up to, that was in 1982, I went to, oh God, this is the bottom of Princes Street. I don't think it's there anymore because I think we did a gig downstairs in a Masonic lodge. And upstairs was where they all used to, hello brother.
Robin, huh?
Yeah. Left nipple in custard and all the rest of it. And we had a show, it wasn't called anything, it was just Skint Video doing our show. And we only did it for a week. We got quite a few people in, and we sort of like dossing on people's floors. And then at the very end, we because it said no entry on the thing, upstairs, and so we were a bit pissed on the last night. So we thought, let's go up and have a look. And then we flung open the doors, and this massive eye, like that sort of glowing, and we shit ourselves and run down the stairs. I think it was just the way the light was shining on it.
Right, yeah.
It wasn't,
just This is the secrecy of the naughtiness of the time. Like, oh no, we better get out of here. So no entry, we're in here.
The eye was like,
like the eye of
Sauron. Sauron. Yeah. It was,
wow.
Yeah, that was my first one in '82. Then properly went up in '84. I did a lot of those where we do it with loads of other people. So we went up in '85 with Julian Clary, who was fantastic. We had a good laugh with him actually. And then he later went. I think he won the Perrier, didn't he? Oh. Yeah, not that year, but the year after. We generally do compilation ones. Then 88, 89, 91, we did our own show.
You didn't have a name for it. You just did it in the Masonic Lodge.
One of our shows was called Rebels with a Chord.
Yeah,
which is quite a good title. We made a big mistake on that. We thought it would be funny to have pictures of our managers' kids playing our instruments on the thing. Of course, everyone thought it was a kids' show.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So nobody came. That was a massive mistake. That was a joint show with John Maloney, actually.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good show that year. We were in the Pleasance Bar downstairs. That was I wouldn't do that again. Or my advice, if you're going to have a poster for Edinburgh, put yourself on it. Don't put children or animals or anything that's not you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the famous story of one of the godfathers of alternative comedy, Tony Allen, called his show Sold Out. Which backfired spectacularly because no one came.
Yeah, totally. It's like,
that must be sold out. Yeah.
That's cool. But,
it's not like calling your show cancelled, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. You did that with John Maloney, right? And was he playing the accordion then?
Yeah, we did a musical section. Basically, he would do his sets, then we would do ours, then we'd do a load of stuff together at the end. Yeah, it was a great laugh, actually. Really enjoyed it. And he played the Boron as well. He's a brilliant musician, John. So I've done loads of different things.
What was your favourite show that you did?
Probably that one.
Oh, yeah.
That was in '91. I thought we had some great stuff. The audience response was great. Of the ones that I've done, my favourite one is 2017, the Train Show. Shunted again. I've actually done 4 solo shows, or 5, and that's my favourite one. I just thought I was very happy with the writing. I had quite a lot of previews, which in previous years I'd not, so I had quite a lot of run-up time. Even then, yourself, during the run it changed sort of not spectacularly, but by the end it was a completely different beast from when it started, and I just really enjoyed it. I was very happy with all the material, and then I went on to do it at the Soho Theatre, which was great, which I've always wanted to do. And it was very well received. So, and one of the biggest accolades for that show is a guy called Christian Walmar, who's the foremost writer on railways in the UK. Came to see it about 3 times and really loved it. So he wrote me a very nice review.
That's great.
So that I must have been doing something right.
Yeah, someone who knows their shit, right?
Who knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, great.
Those 2 are my favourites. Yeah.
You do acting still as well? Or?
I do. The last thing I was in was a couple of years ago. It was called Little Boy Blue, which is a very harrowing docudrama on ITV about the killing of Rhys Jones. You know, the little lad that was shot in the crossfire. Do you know? No, you probably don't.
No.
It's about 10 years ago now. The poor little sod was caught in a gang warfare shooting and was shot. Stephen Graham played the police inspector who investigated it. I was typecast as a really weaselly, horrible lawyer. I was only in it for like a minute, but it was great. I really enjoyed it. I've done bits and bobs. I've done a few. I did an advert for NHS England where I was having a stroke.
Oh yeah. Do you know what I think? Is that the face one? Is it?
Yeah.
That's it. I think I've seen that. I don't recognise you.
Wasn't much acting involved in that. Well, I'm on the street and I'm having a bit of a seizure. Okay. But what it was it was recorded in January. It was freezing. But it wasn't raining enough, so they had false rain. Hours and hours, like take after take after. Can you do it from this? Like, we're going to shoot it from this angle. We're going to like come round from the right. Can you do it again? Yeah. And by the end, me and the other woman that were in it was just like, achoo! We both caught a cold. Which is ironic.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do more acting. I've got an acting agent and stuff like that. It puts me up for stuff. I'm still involved in that. I'm still involved in the writing for telly. With Paul Ricketts, we're writing loads of stuff together. Great. Yeah, that's just an ongoing thing. Yeah, that's basically.
It doesn't stop there. You got to keep.
Doesn't stop. Got to keep plugging away. That's it. And still doing the. You know, I still get as much of a kick out of doing the live stuff as I did 30 years ago. It's still great. Yeah. It's like a massive shot of adrenaline, isn't it? In fact, it's better than adrenaline.
It's like
I think there's nothing like, as I said to you before, thinking of something in the afternoon, thinking, I've got a gig tonight, I'm going to do it tonight, and then it goes well, and it's the best feeling in the world. I think it's great. And of course, there's the downside of that. If it crashes and burns, that's horrible.
But that's the risk, isn't it? That's where the joy, the adrenaline comes from, isn't it? Right? But that's
you never can tell. That's the thing until it actually leaves your mouth. It's not a fully formed thing. It's just in your head.
Like 37 years, right? That you must have seen a lot of crazy stuff go on, right? You don't have to give any names or like to
what do you mean?
Protect the innocent.
Drugs?
No. Well, I mean, if you want to talk about drugs, sure. But like stuff, you must have seen some mad stuff happen, like in places, at gigs. Like, what's the craziest thing you've seen happen at a gig? You know, okay, the guy who got naked at your first gig was one of your first gigs.
No, like, that's not the craziest.
I've
seen loads of crazy things. One time I was at a gig with this is an incognito story, and he was on stage. He was going really well, and there was a woman and a man in the front. It was at a place called the Aztec Club, which is in Crystal Palace. It's not there anymore. Ian was on stage, and a guy goes, "Fuck off, you shit, fuck off." Cogs just said, I mean, you know, we've all done it. You know, it's the cardinal sin. He goes, if you think you can do any better, you know, why don't you have a fucking go? And of course, the guy gets up and he brings his partner with him. They're both stripped, totally naked, right? The Aztec Club was a Tex-Mex restaurant, so it had those big, like, wine bottles, but with the red candles stuck in, they're all melted, you know, like they're having those. Anyway, the guy broke off one of those, melted the wax onto his cock. Right, didn't flinch. Must have fucking hurt. Yeah, totally. She did it onto her tits, and the guy goes, "Follow that." I mean, admittedly he did. Cogs did, but for a minute there, it was absolute fucking panic. People were like laughing, screaming, so going, "What the?"
That is a recurring theme of that, like being vulnerable, I guess, but not to that. Maybe that's to that extreme. But this guy, I did a course years ago for comedy, and the first guy they had said, "Right, come and do a minute, 2 minutes, whatever you want to do." At the end of the week, and so we did, and this guy put on a tape of like some really sexy sort of striptease music, and he put that on and just took his. To be fair, the guy was a good-looking guy, you know.
Yeah,
he was
I know,
just
but,
sickeningly good-looking. He was just like, look at long, flowing locks, and just like a really tall guy, you know, swarthy kind of looking. And then took off his clothes, and that wasn't the end of it. As soon as he got stripped down, he took out a lighter and set light to his pubes. And like that was, we could only do that once every 3 months or so, I'm sure. But you know, it was but like that was what he did.
There's a horrible smell as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's not nice. It wasn't nice, but that was the thing. It was funny, but it's a recurring theme. But that is, I think that's more dangerous. You're definitely going to hurt yourself more. But the candle out.
The candle thing, I don't know how they did it because it must have been excruciatingly.
You're gonna have to cut that out afterwards, aren't you? I mean, or melt it out, hot water.
I don't know.
I'm just starting.
I don't know what happened to them. They just disappeared into the crowd and just fucked off. You know.
I think about this too much. I think
that's weird, that place, because there's something very not similar happened to me. But I was doing a gig at that place, and I actually went down really well. I got an encore, and I came back, and there was a woman. There were these horrible people all night. They were off their tits on something, but they were heckling all night, and they were still heckling. But I dealt with them early on. But I came back and they wouldn't. I said, for fuck's sake, come on. I've given you loads of chances. Just shut the fuck up now and let me have this bit of glory.
Yeah.
You know, stop making me look like a cunt. And some woman stood up, right? A big, huge black woman with dungarees and went, I strongly object to your use of the word cunt. And I thought, well, I was going to have an ideological discussion. She goes, because that's not a cunt. This is. And she unzipped her dungarees, pulled down a thing and just pulled down her whole thing and just like exposed herself. Whoa. And then walked towards the stage.
No.
Cue pandemonium, right? A lot of the women in the audience shouting fuck off to her.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't continue. Some people got her out the venue and all the rest of it. The police were called because the other people were off their heads and they went downstairs into the bar. There was a tussle, whatever, and the police were called. And the last I recall was we were all upstairs out the window watching the woman who'd exposed herself and her friend, female friend, punching 7 shades of shit out of each other on the pavements and being jerked up by the police and thrown into the back of a police car. That was the end of the evening.
That's crazy, yeah?
I think drugs were involved there.
Yeah.
I mean, I do tell this story a lot, but it's a true story. It happened in Glastonbury Festival many years ago, and it was when I was in the double act, and this guy came in and he did look like Jesus Christ and he dressed like Jesus Christ, so the whole like that, but he had the long hair. He genuinely had long hair, and he walked in and we said to him, where the fuck have you been? You're 2,000 years too late. And not knowing that he was off his head on acid or something. So in Glastonbury there are no bouncers, so he just climbed on stage, pushed my double act partner in there. He fell over, got hold of me and began to choke me.
No.
And I actually began to black. I thought, wow, what a way to go, killed by Jesus. And one of the stage hands,
Jesus saves.
Yeah, I know. And one of the stage hands actually came and really lamped him right in the face and knocked him out. Good. He had to. And I do remember, I think it was my double act partner said, and the guy was going, Jesus, came around and going, I'll fucking sue you, you bastards. Mm-hmm. My partner said, never mind, Jesus, why don't you turn the other cheek? Great. But it got a massive cheer.
It'd have to. That's brilliant.
But that's the worst assault I've had. I mean, I've had coins thrown at me. Once I was on stage at Manchester Jongleurs, someone threw the cork of a wine bottle so hard that it split my nose. So my nose was pouring with blood, it was going into my mouth. Yeah. And I just threw the guitar down and just stormed off stage and said, nah, fuck this. Because I just think heckling and, being taken the piss out of it's part of your job, but not physical assault. No, one of the best things I ever saw was Dave Fulton at the Comedy Store in the middle of a joke, and someone threw a coin and it hit him on the head, and he just goes, so I said to the guy, he just dropped the mic like that, turned on his heel without saying a word, uproar in the audience, and then the compere one goes, them's the rules, guys. You throw stuff at us, we don't have to take it. Damn right. And the guy who'd done it, they identified, they're really good at the Comedy Store, and 2 bouncers just came, just grabbed him and he was out, Should have been charged with assault.
Why would you do that? What is that like? You paid your money?
I don't know. Yeah. Well, coins. I mean, you could actually blind somebody like that. Because many years ago, when the tunnel was, that was a crazy place in the air. This is one of the first old comedy clubs in the country, and it was by the Blackwall Tunnel. It was called The Tunnel. It was run by Malcolm Hardy, and it was rough as fuck. It was like playing the Cage in the Blues Brothers, sorry. A cross between that. It was rough as fuck. The heckling was always... It was actually quite devastating, you know. One of the ones they once did to... Noel James came on, and he painted himself from head to toe in blue.
Noel James, yeah.
Yeah, and he had a pair of underpants on, and it was all for one joke. He goes, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a blue comedian." But before he could get to the microphone, someone just went, "Fuck off, you smurf." And it just destroyed it. He had to go. He sort of went, oh. I felt sorry for him.
Oh, that's great.
But, they were absolutely vicious. That the days were numbered when it descended into physical violence, because somebody threw a glass at a double act that were on called Clarence and Joy Pickles, and she was wearing a pair of glasses. It smashed the glasses and it cut her all over the eye. So that's when the tunnel basically closed. There was a gap, and then he went to up the creek, which is a different story, because that's still rough in its own way, isn't it? But nobody chucks anything at it. The thing is, I don't mind if heckles are funny. I think they're
we've done that gig B-Bar with yourself.
Oh, that was a funny heckle, wasn't it?
Brilliant, with Hugh Davis, and there was like 3 musical acts on the build-up, but he had the keyboard hanging around his neck. He
came on with it round his neck, and somebody just went, 2 chalk ices, please.
Brilliant. It's a brilliant heckle.
And honestly, you were there. Yeah. It just was I love it when that happens. It's like for about 2 minutes, the audience was just like rocking.
Brilliant.
Stuff like that is absolutely why live performance trumps TV every day of the week. You cannot replicate that, can you? You can't.
No.
I'll tell you a great one. Andy Robinson, do you know Andy Robinson? The guy from big tall guy from Birmingham, anyway, he compares the Glee club a lot, and he's talking. He goes, it's great here in Birmingham. We all rub along together, every race and creed. Some guy at the back goes, "Boo!" So he goes, "What? You're booing multiculturalism?" And the guy goes, "Yeah." Right, this is absolutely true. Andy Robinson goes, "Well, where are you from, mate?" And before the guy could reply, a woman in the front row goes, "The 1930s."
That was great.
And it was like, honestly, it's like someone had thrown a grenade. The laughter just continued for about 2 minutes.
So quick, and just bam, straight in there. That's great.
Andy Robinson goes, "That is fucking brilliant. I'm going to be using that."
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to use that.
Totally.
I mean, it's one of those, like... I love stuff like that. I was doing a gig at Bristol, the Comedy Box, and I said, I was doing a gig in Bath last night, and someone goes, "It's Bath." I said, "No, it's not, it's Bath." She goes, "It's Bath." And I said, "No, it's not, it's Bath. It's posh there." And somebody said, "Well, in that case, it's jacuzzi to you." Really posh. It was so well timed, and I thought, "You bastard."
Yeah.
But I used it for ages, and I told him at the time, I said, because it got a massive laugh, and I said, "Right, that's in my act now." It's best if it's done in a posh voice, though.
Yeah, totally.
Jacuzzi to you peasant.
You talk about, so you went to Jeremy Hardy's funeral there. I used to love Jeremy Hardy Speaks to the Nation. Brilliant. The amount of ideas and things that they generated in that series was incredible. It's on everything, wasn't it?
Yes. He's a very clever man. I found those things fantastic. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those Radio 4 shows are formatted, that sort of material. I mean, he's at the opposite on the political spectrum, but Simon Evans' one is brilliant as well. Have you seen it? No. Simon Evans Goes to Market, which he analyses the financial markets. It's really interesting, but it's funny as well, because he's very, very funny. Radio 4 does them best. Something like Mark Steele, when he goes Down Your Way. They're brilliant, those shows. Yeah, I mean, Jeremy was... Not only was he really funny, but he was also, he's a nice guy as well. At that memorial service, there were a lot of people there from very, very disparate parts of the comedy spectrum, and also from all walks of life that he'd made friends with, So
you've been doing comedy, and you've been doing the acting and stuff as well. Okay, what was it like? You've done some the good stuff, right? You don't have to name the name of what it was, but what was the most hideous thing?
Well, this is interesting, because I think hideous things are always around the corner. It doesn't matter what level you get to. I've had some ones where, me and the other guy still use this as a catchphrase sometimes. We did a nightclub in Blackpool, this is many years ago, and we turned up there and we said, where's the stage? You're over there, in front of disco, I said, well, where's the microphone? And this is what he said. He went, microphone? Just like he'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
Microphone? He said, we haven't got a microphone.
Yeah.
So DJ's got a microphone. So, well, can we use his? No. And it was one of the worst. Oh, God, it was horrible. We did a gig, so shouting. No one could hear us because it was a massive disco. And then we did get coined off. They threw loads of coins at us. Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah. You wouldn't mind throwing them at your feet if they're pound coins, you know what I mean? But Jesus, come on.
I mean, we had a gig once that we did, which was in a students' union, and we antagonised a rugby club. We'd taken the piss out of them. I never been able to stand that sort of macho attitude anyway. Yeah. But we antagonised them, so they pulled the plug on us. So we really slagged them off on stage, and they chased us into the dressing room, and we were barricaded into the dressing room. They smashed down the door. We got out the back. We'd called a cab, got into the cab. They were chasing us down the road. They kicked the hubcap off one of the guys, and the taxi driver was going, "The fuck is going on?" And we were just going, "Drive!"
Yeah, totally.
Because they were the quarters, the massive rugby guys. Going, come on! There's all sorts of bad gigs, aren't there? There are gigs that are just unplayable when you get there. But then there are sometimes you go to a gig and you think, well, this is just going to be shit, and then it turns out to be lovely. And there's always the gigs where it should be engraved on your tombstone. You know, you should have been here last week. It's really full.
There's a gig called that now as well. They're like just a little new material now. It should have been here last week. It's brilliant. I love the name of that.
That's what it's called. You should have been here last week.
Yeah,
I can't understand it. You know.
Yeah, it was fun. There was such a lovely audience. Where the fuck are they for this week? Oh, they're all back actually. They're just miserable this week.
Once did a gig at the Comedy Store many years ago when it was the Gong Show, but I'm talking about the original version of Gong Show, and somebody was heckling us. And I lost it completely. I'd never normally now lose my temper on stage. I normally learned how to control it.
Did you have a problem with that at the beginning?
Yeah, because I used to take it to heart a bit.
Yeah.
But then you can't. I went to twat him on the head with the guitar, and if I'd have made connection with him, I'd have killed him. So, but luckily my partner caught it.
Still do.
It's like that. I mean, honestly, the guy was like, he couldn't have stopped it. Wow. But Brian just went, whoa. Yeah. I mean, we got gonged off after. Yeah. Gong, trying to kill the audience. Gong.
It's in the rules. Let's put that in the rules.
Cannot punch the audience.
Anger. I have a problem with that as well.
Yeah.
And like, how did you let that go? Just like time.
It's time plus. I think if you do loads and loads and loads of gigs, and it happens over and over again, you got to learn to kind of. I mean, I'm saying this now. I could lose my temper tomorrow. I don't know, but I haven't done for a long time. You just got to think that, in a way, if you lose your temper, you have lost, because they're trying to provoke that, and it's much better to remain calm and think of something funny to say to them that will probably ruin their life and make them miserable for the rest of their life, you know.
Which is, you're still taking the moral high ground, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm going to ruin your life. I've said some horrible things to people, you know. But then I think it's like that. It's in the arena, isn't it? And if they start it, then they fucking ask for it.
Yeah. It's our octagon, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm not one of those acts to go, look at you fucking baldy twat, or you know. I don't do that. Some acts do, but if they come for you, then you're legitimately allowed to do what you need to do to shut them up.
Defend your right to be there, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, because all they're trying to do is disrupt your authority. You know, I mean, Cogs said something to somebody. I read this, but it's very true. It's about owning the stage and making people feel that you've got the right to be there, standing in a certain way, not allowing. You see somebody like Rudy Liquid. The way he actually occupies the stage is fascinating to watch, and he paces to and fro. So all acts have got different ways of doing it, but it's all about you just saying, "Hey, I've got a right to be here, and you've got a right to listen." Very, very much like teaching, I think, as well. Teachers have got that. No wonder so many acts were ex-teachers or did a little bit of a stint. There's loads.
Are very good at it. Like even before they've even done like.
Yeah, Greg Davis was a teacher.
but also a drama teacher as well. So he's got all of that shit together. He's like, well, I've wanted to be an actor. Oh, I'm a teacher now. Oh, I'm a stand-up. So the transition was a lot smaller, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't send people out of the room, can you?
This is very true.
It'd be great if every time someone heckled, see the headmaster.
Right, see me after.
See me after. You wanker. And conversely, of course, if you're a teacher, you can't make the kids cry.
No, you can't. No.
You take a very dim view of that.
Not allowed to hit them with a guitar inside it. It's not allowed.
But rulers. Yeah.
When you're starting, like, who's your person you come in? Oh man, I'd love to be like that eventually.
My absolute hero was Alexei Sayle. I saw him live. I was already doing it, but he just electrified me. I saw him twice in very quick succession. I saw him in Edinburgh doing a massive venue, and he was brilliant. I mean, that was anger channeled in the right way as well. And it's really funny because there's kind of people like Keith Allen. I always loved him because he's. But a lot of my contemporaries I really admired, like Mark Steele, Jeremy Hardy, Mark Thomas, a guy called Mark My Words who became Mark Hurst, Linda Smith, thought she was brilliant, Hattie Hayridge, really liked her. But also, it's like that thing where punks used to say, I only like this music. So that's impossible because you've been alive longer than that. So older comedians, people like Tommy Cooper and Les Dawson, I love Les Dawson. He still makes me laugh. So older comics like that. I mean, not particularly American comics. That's the funny thing. I'm much more fixated on British comedy.
What's the guy's name who'd be very sort of scatterbrained, sort of curly brown hair. Oh God, I can't think of his name. Do you know the guy? He was like, like just. He had, and he's like, oh, that guy.
What, Frankie Howard?
Yes.
Yeah, I love Frankie
Howard. Yeah, he was.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, go bishes. I loved him. He was brilliant.
Great.
I mean, I grew up listening to them on the radio and stuff like that. I mean, Les Dawson is still really funny. I just love his use of language. This is my all-time favourite joke, and it's at the end of a very long story, and he goes, it's a princess trapped in a castle. And the castle is burning, and she's going to be consumed by the flames. And she knew there were no way out. And as the flames licked the walls of the castle, threatening to engulf her in certain death, she lay down on a waterbed and was slowly poached to death. Poached. It's just, I mean, they're just poached. It's just a word. It's oh my God, poached to death.
Think about it.
I can still I probably heard that joke when I was about 6 or 7, and I've just remembered it. It's like the other one, the Woody Allen one, which is one of my favourite ones. I was expelled from my metaphysics exam for looking into the soul of the boy next to me. That's one of my favourite jokes. I love that. Sorry, I backtrack. So people like Woody Allen and Steve Martin, and I really like Bill Hicks as well. Although I didn't like some of his self-importance. That's the only thing. I thought his stuff was brilliant, but I didn't like that thing of
the preachiness sort of.
Yeah, he took himself a bit too seriously. Yeah. I can't stand that. There's plenty of that on the comedy circuit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Right, here's the list. No. I just think at the end of the day...
Is it a phone book? No, that's a list.
Yeah. It's my little black book. I've got a little black book. I just think you can't take yourself too seriously, really.
That's, I guess, one of the keys as well to not being angry, isn't it? Just go, look, it's just jokes, just comedy.
Just
enjoy
jokes.
yourself, enjoy it, make sure you're
it'd be nice if I could change the world through laughter, but,
Just one guy in it as
just one guy.
As Owen.
What can I do? I'm only one guy. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of... we wouldn't do this without ego. I mean, we've got to be honest. We're one part thinking, we're the shittest thing that's ever been, and the flip side is we're God Almighty, so we can do anything. And we flip between the two. I just think a little bit of self-awareness goes a long way.
Of course. It seems to come online as the years progress, doesn't it? More and more, well, hopefully for some.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, it's part of the very reason that makes them get on stage and that makes them funny,
The lack of self-awareness completely.
Yeah, but it makes them unbearable in the dressing room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me tell you about me for the next 50 minutes. Really?
Oh God, that's going to be a great conversation.
I get my notebook out, write down some pearls of wisdom. So the people that made me, I mean, Alexei Sayle was the one, really, that kind of made me want to do it. There were other people involved in that whole... I mean, I have to say Arnold Brown as well is one of my favourite comedians. Do you know Arnold Brown, the Scottish guy?
I've heard his name.
So for my mind, still one of the best writers in this genre. I can't try and do him justice, but this is one of his best jokes. He goes, he's Scottish from a Jewish background. He goes, people ask me for the Jewish contribution to history. I say, no thanks, we've given already. I mean, that's just fucking superb. I was on the bill with him quite recently and I said, do that joke again. He says, oh, I'm bored, you know. He's bored of it because he's been doing it for... I mean, he's much older than me and he didn't start. He started roughly the same time as us, but he's already in his 40s. He was a chartered accountant who used to go down to the Comedy Store in the very early days and was mesmerised by it and just thought, I'm going to have a go, you know. He was great. Oh, Brown, really good. Oh, John Hegley as well. I don't know whether you know.
I do John. Yeah,
he's fantastic.
I've asked this question before, but I'm like, and it gets a usually strange response. So, what do you do when you're not doing comedy?
I do a lot of music. Obviously, I do the band. I write songs. I read a lot.
History, is it, or generally?
No, I read a lot of factual books, but I also like fiction as well. I mean, I'm an English grad, so I've just finished reading Ulysses for the second time.
Wow, fair play.
I mean, the first time I read it, it's really funny because it was roughly the same time I started Skint Video, and I put it down after about 50 pages. Thought, what the fuck is this? Yeah. But I got all the way through it this time, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to start reading Finnegan's Wake.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I know. I've never read that. Well, I've read the first 2 pages. And went, ah.
Yeah.
So I read loads. I mean, I had, because I travel by train, I do get to read a lot. I've read quite recently a great book by a writer called Hallie Rubenhold, which is called The Five, which is the history of the 5 women that were murdered by Jack the Ripper, and it's got nothing about him in it. It's all about them. It's brilliant, really good. So I do a lot of reading. I walk the dog, do a lot of swimming. I try and swim nearly every day. Just been swimming just before we came back. I love swimming. Yeah. I find it, not only is it, good exercise, but it's intensely relaxing as well.
Absolutely meditative, isn't it?
Except if someone cuts you up, of course.
That's a bit.
There was a guy today who did that thing, that macho wanker. He just went, I'm not going to slip into the pool. I'm going to jump into the pool and make the biggest splash. And I caught the eye of one of the attendants, and I just went, wanker. Yeah. It was sort of wanker. Yeah. And everyone's like this. Yeah. Oh. He goes, hello everyone, I've arrived. Yeah. Look at me. There's a guy who goes, I've actually went to a show about this, who goes in there and he's got these like who wears mirrored fucking swimming glasses? Yeah. And he never stops for anybody, and if you say excuse me, he turns and he looks at you like that and he doesn't say anything. Like a Terminator sort of thing. You think, yeah, Terminator and budget smugglers. Yeah, that's great. Ridiculous. Yeah, those are the sorts of things I do. I mean, my main hobby is I love reading, and I obviously listen to a lot of music as well. I mean, I still like to listen to new stuff, and that's the sort of thing. And lots of doggy walking as well. I love it. Yeah, it's great. Harold's he now is just coming up to 13, so wow, he's doing well, eh? Not very long left. He's getting very unsteady on his feet. Yeah. Wake up. He's having one of those. Shock. He's fucking 13, isn't he? Look at he's having one of them doggy dreams, isn't he? He's getting a bit twitchy now. Yeah, he's chasing rabbits. He's got like a cat coated in sort of like dog food. It's had its tail nailed to the ground. Get off me! Licking it to death slowly. He still goes mad when he sees cats. He doesn't like cats at all. Like, you do a lot of adverts and stuff. Did you do anything that's kind of like horrendous? You're like, oh my god, what it. Yeah, back in the day, this was in 1984, 85, me and my partner did an advert for chocolate bar, not Breakaway. Oh my god, I've forgotten it. You remember the 51321 chocolate bar? Do you remember that? No, it wasn't. No, I don't remember it. I mean, our one was terrible. This is really weird because in those sort of circles, in lefty circles, we got a lot of shit for it. A lot of people took the piss, and we got paid a lot of money. And we were in a management deal, and we wanted to sign to Off the Curb. To break the management deal, we had to pay him all the money. It was like karma. And so we ended up with like a couple of £100 each, and it should have been a lot more. Many moons ago, someone found that on YouTube and posted it to me. But I haven't got it anymore. What's the chocolate bar? Breakaway? Breakaway, Breakaway. No, not Breakaway. It was a funny advert, but I cringe thinking about it now. We didn't script it. The only reason that we got it was because a friend of mine from school in Liverpool was then working as an advertising executive at this company, and he said, do you want to do it? And Now I've gone all contemplative, thinking of all the money we had to pay to the other management companies, like watching it all go out your account going, bye. It was all for nothing.
For comedy, what you did, Steve?
I've only ever had, I was at school, went to college, I had a series of like bum jobs, like, you know, I worked in a shop, I worked in a factory, I worked, I was a gorillagram.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was a gorillagram, I only did one. Fucking terrible. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Dressed in a gorilla costume. I mean, anything to make ends meet.
Yeah,
I was a
totally,
door-to-door suit salesman until a dog was set on me and bit me on the arse. I used to work at Peak Friends biscuit factory in the Christmas pudding departments. I will never eat a Christmas pudding. Yeah,
I worked at a quiche factory.
I mean, I saw what people did. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, people.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, and also it regularly used to go too fast, and then it just drop on the floor, and like full of ciggies, and you just go put it on. I know I can't. I mean, I never really like Christmas pudding at all, but I just don't touch it now.
That's
no
fair.
way. I mean, I haven't really had a proper job. The longest one, I worked in a hardware store for about a year and a half, 2 years. I'm selling. Oh God, this is terrible. We sold proper stuff like tools, but we also sold crying boy pictures. You remember those crying boy pictures that everyone said was cursed? Sick, sort of like kitschy sorts of items, like, you know, like the dogs playing snooker.
Oh yeah.
You know, all those. A tennis player scratching her arse.
Like
you know.
pound shop kind of stuff. Yeah. Like horse. Remember the horseplay stores you used to have before?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, all that sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, we also used to sell samurai swords to the local thugs. And they used to come and buy. Said, I'll have 6 ceremonial samurai swords. Wow. What are you going to use them for? Ceremony. Off you go. So we got raided by the cops, and all the samurai swords were confiscated. And also, I mean, this is the guy who ran it. His name was Mick. He was horrible. He was selling glue to kids as well. Got done for that. The one thing that did make me laugh, because he was an arsehole, but there was excavating down below the desk, there was a basement there, and he dug a big hole and he left the hole open, and someone went round the back of the counter and fell through the hole. So his ass got sued and he lost loads of money. Yeah. Good. It's not there anymore, it's gone. But that was horrible, I hated that job. And at that time I was acting, doing Skint video and that job at the same time, and it was terrible because something had to give, because I was like falling asleep at work, falling asleep at gigs, you know. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest wrenches, and it's hard for acts nowadays because you have to have another job. The pickings are so slim on the comedy circuit itself, it's hard to make a full-time living. And I do feel for people, because a lot of the younger acts are, you know, they say, oh, I've got to be in work tomorrow. I know.
They have to sell choc ices on stage.
Chocolate. Yeah, 2 chocolates, please. I do hope he's using that line.
Me too.
He should do.
Definitely, it's a great line. Great line. Yeah. You're writing the Monopoly play for Edinburgh 2020.
Yep.
And you're also writing stuff for TV at the moment too.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say. We've got one thing that we're working on. It's a brand new thing.
So it
involves child murder. No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
You're writing your statue show for next year, is it?
Yeah, I want to take that up to Edinburgh as well. Right. And then, you know, making the album with the band.
What's the album? Do you know the album name?
The album's going to be called Songs in the Key of Heartbreak.
Songs in the Key of Heartbreak, and you were called again?
The True Believers.
True Believers,
great. And it'll be out on Deep River Records, which is a local record company. Yes. In September, I hope, if we can fucking finish. That's the other thing. It's like, I know that bloody thing, like it's like herding cats. Having a band with 6 people is mad. I hats off to anybody that's a manager or an agent. I don't know how they do it. Mm-hmm. Because we're flaky, aren't we?
Totally, absolutely.
We can't come. Yeah. My hamster's got, pleurisy. Why didn't you let us know? Oh no, sorry. Yeah.
Where can we find you?
Everywhere. I'm everywhere. I'm like the internet.
Gribbin. Steve Gribbin on the internet.
Oh, on the internet. Well, I haven't got my own website. I'm an old school man. I've got my own Facebook page. At mrstevegribbin.com on Twitter. On Facebook as Steve Gribbin, and there's something else and Mr. Steve Gribbin on Instagram. That's it, isn't it? Is that everything?
That's it, isn't it? That's all it is. All that matters now,
And that's all that matters. And also, my friend, no. You can see, my friend, I'm doing Edinburgh this weekend, which is great, at Monkey Barrel. Lovely gig. One more thing, this is absolutely true. You know those big department stores in Ireland that they have, Eason's?
Stationery place, right?
Yeah. Well, there's one in O'Connell Street, which is in Dublin, and this is a true story. And sorry, it sounds a bit name droppy, but I was with, Sarah Millican.
Right.
Yeah, and she was with me. I said to the guy behind the counter, I said, "Excuse me, where's the internet?" And he just went, "It's everywhere."
That's great.
No, and everyone that was listening really pissed themselves. I thought, I bloody asked for that. I asked for that.
Totally.
I said, that is good.
Right,
that is good,
great.
you bastard.
Right, Steve, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thank you.
Real pleasure, man.
Thanks for having us.
And that was episode 70 with a very funny musical comedian's comedian. I think it was 2018, voted by his peers. He's absolutely excellent, been on the circuit for over 30 years. I enjoyed spending over an hour chatting to Steve about comedy. Talking about anger in that episode was particularly helpful. Some gigs, you go to, and some people in the audience, they don't, you see in their faces, they don't like you. And, just try not to mirror them. Just don't mirror them. Just let it go. It doesn't really matter, does it? You can't win everyone over. That's the problem. You just might look like someone they hate. Really helpful talking to Steve about anger. Because I think most people suffer with some form of it in one way or another. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. That was episode 70, say, with Steve Gribbin. He's on all the places, Instagram, he's on Facebook. And go and see him live. He's an absolutely excellent comedian. I'm not going to say much more, only I'm going to be plugging the show Squeaky for the 28th of February, which is in the Museum of Comedy at 7 p.m. Tickets are £7.50 plus booking fee. Now, you're going to be hearing this podcast on the 26th of February. That is 2 days before the show. So that is why I'm recording these links in January. So you have time now to get your tickets from the Museum of Comedy. Go to Facebook, go to the Squeaky Winter page. It's at Squeaky Winter. That is on Facebook, at Squeaky Winter. Go to the booking link. The address of the venue is there. The ticket booking link is there as well. Book a couple of tickets. Get one for your friend. Get one for your sister. Get one for your mother. It's going to be a clean show. It's just going to be a bit of fun. It's a small room. It's intimate. It'll be really fun. It's a lovely venue. That's the 28th of February, and that is 7 p.m. in the Museum of Comedy. Go to Facebook, type in at Squeaky Winter, and the ticket booking link is there. It's not even the price of a pint in London. Come on, go, do it. So you can follow this podcast. We're on Instagram at Winter Dominus. You can also find us on Facebook, which is the Comedy Defect Podcast, and you can like the page of the same name. If you guys want to support the podcast, you can type in the Comedy Defect Podcast. You can donate as little as £1 or as much as you feel this podcast is worth. And those of you that do donate, thank you. Those of you that don't, that's fine. Just go to YouTube, iTunes or Podbean and give us a nice review because it tells people where we are and what we're up to. That's all I'm going to say for this episode. Episode 70 with Steve Gribbin. I hope you enjoyed it. Next episode is with a guy that's recently been on Britain's Got Talent and he did really well and I managed to get him on the show. That's El Baldino. That's El Baldino for episode 71 on the Comedy Defect Podcast.